What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Kyber Council, episode 9. I am your host, Fatal, aka The Playbook, and here, looking a little bit frozen, but also looking a little bit happy. We got a good Grand Arena season coming up, and Ken is looking overjoyed here. He's never going to stop smiling this show. It's just how things are going to be going. How's it going, man?
Sick. Yes, I'm not joining in video today due to my somewhat less than optimal upload bandwidth, but very much able to continue plan and talking for the next season here. Very excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, it's folks, we got a doozy of a season here. I mean, by now you all probably know, but if you don't, there's a lot more teams coming. Pour one out if you're running alt accounts. You got a whole lot of Grand Arena every day coming for you now. We have a wonderful cast here tonight. Let's go bottom to front. I don't know. I usually go top to bottom. Let's start with the bottom because honestly, she's the one who has the most going on here. We have Kate Gaming with a very special event going on today. Very lucky timing here. How's it going?
Good. You guys, yeah, you had perfect timing. We didn't even plan this. It just happened to work out. But right now the Bounty Honeys are running a 24-hour stream to benefit the charity To Write Love on Our Arms, which is basically a charity that their main goal is to spread hope and help people find help who are dealing with mental illnesses, whether it's anxiety, depression, self-harm, or suicide, or anything else that falls into the I can't even talk anymore. It's been a long day. Into the category of mental health. So, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, folks. That is at twitch.tv/bountyhoneys. They got a Tiltify link for donations as well. If you feel like donating tonight, I would suggest you all to head on over to their source instead. We'll all be here, we'll all be fine, but that to me that feels like a good cause. There's plenty of charities out there that are sketchy, but they pass a lot of the tests. So, yeah, absolutely. Let's get some support for that. A good cause. We all probably know someone who's been down their luck at times. And yeah, absolutely. All right. Next up, looking pretty green himself, we got Infinum. How's it going, man?
Yeah. Hello, had to blend in with the green screens that we can see around here, so I even changed because it was something like an orange LED, I think, went over to green, got a fit in, I think. But yeah, thank you for having me here. Looking forward to talk a little bit about JC and whatnot, so let's go for it.
Yeah, it's interesting times we're in. A whole lot of changes to be made, especially why do we have to be on 3 first? We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Good old Maurice, how's it going, man?
Going on, guys? Glad to be here. It's fun. I had a good time last time I was on. Thanks for having me back. Like I said, messed up too bad the first time. Thank you, guys.
I don't know, man. Some of those teams you're building earlier. We'll see. Might not be a third.
Yeah, winging it, yeah.
And last but not least, we got Fortmort. How's it going, man?
It was really good until I found out good old Maurice was here before me, and now he's here a second time. What is happening here? Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. And yeah, guys, go over there and check it out. The Bounty Honeys. I already threw my biddies at him, so get over there and help them out. It is a good cause, 100%. So
yeah.
there we go. Show that again. Exactly.
Yep. I'll show it as many times as I want. I got this button right here.
Yeah, just free button it. Well prepared, Fatal, man. That's why I've always envied you since I'd seen you. You were probably about 1,000 viewers when I first saw you. I was like, man, this guy thinks a lot like me, but he's so good at this stuff. You could tell you're organized. So good on you, man.
One place in my life I am. I try to be.
Yeah. Anyway, Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Love talking GAC. You guys know that.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys, we're in a state of change. Capital Games finally remembered that GAC was a mode. And works for me because these are changes that people have been asking for quite some time now. A lot of teams going across the board, and we got another round of changes recently as well. People weren't really sure. Ships was going into a weird, really, really high GP spot. Now it's in a really low GP spot. Team counts for 1.6 million is insane. I have no that's actually probably the most interesting spot for me in the game right now. But yeah, we've got a few topics. Again, if you want to keep smiling as you take us through it, I would love to hear what you got to say. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we're just mentioning, we're talking all about the changes that are coming up here. A few different points we're going to touch on and see what we all think about. The first one, actually, it's great when you were talking now about how the impact is not primarily, but some of the most significant impact is in the earlier game, somewhere between like 1.5 and 3 million. Because initially they had said that the two fleet requirements would only go down to 6 million or something like that. But now they actually brought it down to 3.1 million, where in the previous system we've been going with, it was at 3.8 million. So first topic here is, what do you think, or how do you think the average non-GAC fanatic, as most of the people I think in the audience are, how do you think these changes are going to impact the normal GAC player? Maybe not as much in 3v3 because there's only 4 more teams, but certainly in 5v5, there's, again, depending on your GP range, there's quite a few more characters required. And I think for a lot of normal players, that's a lot more complexity than they're used to dealing with. So how do you think it's going to play out for our opponents or for people who maybe don't take it as seriously? That's the first question here, and let's start with Infinim. What's your take on that?
All right, so my take is I'm probably one of the least influenced persons with people with the changes. So my roster was already going from 3.6 to 4 mil, so I'd always have that difference between Div 3 to Div 2 where you do get the 4 fleets. And well, they announced
Yeah.
them for the people that are 3.1 as well, but I already was going up a division, so it really doesn't change anything about what I was anticipating.
Okay, how do you think it's going to be for your opponents? Do you expect more like auto deploys or auto sets, or do you see a lot of those already? Like, what's the...
I haven't seen a lot of auto sets, but I do think that the auto sets in 2 fleets can be not that terrible because it's not always going to be that negotiator with the full GR or malevolence with full sub. So if even in that situation, it's not the worst thing in the world. However, the character part can be pretty difficult to deal with.
Yeah,
So I
on
do think
one
that
hand, I
saving
think
both
from
the
an...
fleets. Sorry.
No, sorry, this is my wonderful internet connection giving me a bit of lag. Yeah, I agree for sure that the fleet part is not as bad. It'll be, I think, more interesting perhaps in the 5v5 divisions with auto sets, because then the opponents are not going to have anything available for offense, period. Like they'll be able to do nothing if auto set
It's
takes all
full
of their
GL
characters.
walls to deal with, and that can only be a pain.
God.
Yeah. Nasty. All right, Kate, how about you? What's your take on the changes for regular people?
The regular, like not so serious JCers, I don't think you're really going to see much of a change. Other than if you auto set, you basically lost. Like, let's just face it, you lost if you auto set. Um, I think it's just really exciting. I'm really excited. I think we'll see a lot of like teams coming out of the woodworks that we haven't seen in years. Like, obviously, we need to figure out a couple more teams now. So I don't think people who are not serious about it will see much of a change. They'll just set their defense, do their attacks, call it a day. Um, but for us who are more in tune with it and really into it, it's going to be a lot of theory crafting, a lot of bringing back teams we haven't used in like 3-4 years.
Yeah, that part's exciting. I can't wait to see how many Karth teams are back on defense. They're always fun to fight.
And I'm like one of the only
Team
people who
gear.
likes 3v3, so I'm excited.
I'm coming around. It's
Yeah,
I like it. It's different. You have to
I
think
think it's
harder.
yeah. There's so many setups, and it's really a lot more. I think about the individual team you're using, much more than in 5v5. Like if you choose characters with, I don't know, regeneration or a lot of damage or something, you can fit a lot of more strange combinations together, I
In
think.
5, you're pretty much like set in stone with your teams. Like you're just gonna do like a first order faction. Like there's different characters within the faction, but you're pretty much stuck in the faction. 3v3, you get to mix it up. You get to use a lot of more characters. They're like you gotta know their specials and their uniques and like all the stuff that goes with that, and pair them with people with similar specials and uniques and everything like that. It just makes it more fun, I think.
When they first announced
Couldn't agree more.
when they first announced the new extra team count, like I like 5v5 more, so it's just like, oh, let's build out the 5v5 list, and everything was just like yeah, name the last 20 teams that we've ever made, and it's like, oh, I didn't even like reach Karth. I was just like, wow, all right, we're just fine, and then like in the future we'll have Bad Batch. It'll work out. 3v3, I felt like a kid who did not have like any of his homework done and was like showing up to exam day. That was just like the kid like crying over the test was just like, I got like 16. I know what I got before. It's gonna get real cheesy from here, man. It's yeah. 3v3 having so many more teams, but also just so many few leaders really does feel like I was poking fun at Gom's stream, but like that's kind of what we're all having to do is just build.
Oh, I was
out-
totally unprepared. Yeah.
no one is like.
Yeah.
The heck are you gonna do with like a Arc Trooper and Echo who just have like if you're Shakti and Rex and like everyone else is elsewhere, like they don't have a lead. Like what are we even doing? I'm like sitting here. I would have loved if we could have gotten a Cody requirement before GAC lock-in just to have like a third clone lead just for those two. Maybe a week from now. We'll see.
We're getting a Cody. If we don't get a Cody requirement, that's ridiculous.
No, it's
Yeah.
Clone Sergeant. That was the person he broed out with. Cody is just he's just a sideman. I don't know. CG's on something these days. We'll see. I'm not gonna gear Cody until I see it for sure. But yeah, there's no way. Gotta be.
No, I'm still super disappointed you haven't geared Cody for that LSTB mission. Fatal.
Hey, people in my
just waiting
server
for
are
that.
figuring that mission out, and let me tell you, even when we have Cody, it's no guarantee, unfortunately. How do you feel about your foresight?
Delightful.
We'll get there. 1 month from now, we'll all be in it.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, Mort, how about you? What's your perspective from how do you think this is going to impact either the GACers that you fight or the non-dedicated GACers?
So if I could say just real quick, guys, happy Memorial Day. Thank you to those who served. I just want to throw that out there real quick. It is your weekend. But to get on point, salute to all you. GAC, I think for this, I was really excited when it came out. There's some variables that I think some people aren't seeing, and I actually didn't see them when I first saw this come out. I am super excited they gave me my ships back because we worked very hard to get our ships up, and then they thought we were going to be back to one ship at 6 million. That's crazy. I've now got 7 fleets, and I can only use 2 is nuts. So the fact they brought that back is amazing. I think that balances the power back out. But as you say, the ambient, whatever word you used, English isn't my strong suit, math is. But the typical GACer for them, I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's for guys like me who have 30 rosters that I use all the time. While I might not be the greatest player on the planet, I have a lot of experience using old Finn. I've got a lot of experience using the Jawas. I've got a lot of experience using teams that people don't use. And I think that plays into my favor, except for really, like if I was to play playbook, obviously we never get matched up. He could just double block me up front and I'd be in deep doo-doo. But if I can find a way through the front, it's game over. So there's going to be some variable. I think there's some things we're missing. I can't wait to do my homework and figure out how everything's going to work. And I'm really excited for it. I just hated that they did 3v3 first. I really hate they did 3v3 first.
I feel like we always keep coming back to 3v3. Like a new GL comes out as 3v3. GC gets reworked as 3v3. I don't know if this is just CG's plan now, apparently, but like when I get a Galactic Legend for the first time, I'm not sitting here like, man, I can't wait to cut out half of this dude's team. Like,
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised in a way though if it. Go ahead, Fort.
I was just going to say, I'm super excited for everybody to be able to use their teams. I mean, I look at my roster and I've got 30 full teams right now because I'm super bloated. And most of them are low end 76, 80, 85, somewhere around there. I think it's going to be so much more fun for some people. And the people that didn't like GAC already, they probably will auto set even more, to be honest, because they're just not into it. But I'm looking forward to the competition.
Yeah, I feel like there might be
Yeah,
more
one
auto
thing.
set. I feel like there might be more fear. I feel
Yeah.
like people are going to be more scared of having to fight, 13, 14, however many teams than they are going to be like confident of like, I get to post 13 or 14 teams.
Yeah, and you feel like there's less area for mistakes. If you make mistakes now, are you gonna have enough teams to get all the way through?
3v3 especially, man. If you drop
Yeah.
one GL battle, you were like, it took so many fights most of the time to get like a Ray, like a solo Ray down. If you were like barely limping across the finish line now, so to imagine like 2, 3, 4 more teams to have to take out. People are not going to be full clearing more often these days. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah, it's like back in the days of the beginning of GAC when people had no clue what they're doing, and the default was, well, not the default, but many people went hard on defense and cleared 1 or 2 zones, and then saw what was behind and gave up. Gom, to finish this out here, what's your take on the impact on the opponents you're going to be fighting?
I think those that have kind of just been collectors and not focused on mods are gonna find this irritating because you really need tons and tons of mod depth now for all these teams, right? That's what's gonna matter. I think more than the characters you have and the compositions, it's gonna be your mod depth because. And for the most part, I set up a bunch of teams today, but I really didn't set anything up. I mean, for the most part, I think the average player and myself included, you can use what you used last time, and then just throw a bunch of timeout teams, like the characters, like the Vandor Chewbacca's, the Barrises, characters you haven't used in a while. Like even if you have like a Darth Maul, sort of those sort of comps that you haven't used in a long time because we haven't had to, you can just throw them in the back. I think I don't think we really. I don't think you'll see a lot of people really spread their rosters out until the second or third week. At least for me, I'm just going to use what I used last time for the most part, and then stuff junk in the back. I don't think there's going to be very many clears, at least on my channel. I don't think I'll be clearing. I don't think anybody will be clearing me either. But but we set up a couple teams like Wedge, Biggs, and Biston. Like you're going to need a few teams, like a Phasma lead with leftover, like certain teams that you can just go in and assassinate, just kind of snipe one character out of the team. You're going to have to pick teams apart when you get to that back row. I think it's it's going to be different. It's going to be a little different. I think it's gonna be frustrating because now you have to mod, 15 teams instead of 11, and that's a lot. That's a lot of mods. Not just the speed. You're gonna need the health percentages for your timeout teams. You're gonna need tenacity in some spots. Just offense-oriented characters. You want your attackers to hit harder, just more of them. So it's gonna be a test for mod depth. I think that's gonna change. And like I think Kate said, if you don't like Grand Arena, or maybe it's Mort, one of you guys said basically if you don't like it, you're just going to be more inclined to auto set moving forward. So it's going to be more frustrating, I think, for the casual player. Um, but it's a good opportunity for everybody to learn the rosters. Like, how many of you guys remember like what how Karth, like the nuances of Karth? I don't. Like how many people remember how to effectively use mission? I need a refresher. Just lots of characters that you've been required to level up. Cody was mentioned earlier. I think DPK in the chat said, a lot of us have Gear 12 Cody with the Zeta from the Hat days back in the day, the Princess Zodi team. So you're gonna have to use characters like that, brush the dust off, and bring them in. And I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna learn a lot the first week. Every opponent I place, they'll place a team that I didn't think of, and it'll help me kind of mold my strategy moving forward. And I think we all have a chance here to learn from each other really quickly. So I'm looking forward to the first week and the cluster that it's going to be for everybody. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
If I could point one thing out real quick, so Gom plays a lot like me. He's very heavy defensive. Obviously, his mods are way better, but I've only been full cleared with average mods 3 times in 6 months. Now they're adding more teams. If that doesn't tell you full clears are coming more and more rare, I don't know what does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, that's a great segue here. And Gom, if you want to continue with this here, how are you guys actually planning on changing your, I don't know, roster development or the way that you look at the value of certain characters or even play style? Is anybody changing from defense to offense or going more defense heavy with these changes? What are you doing for the future, Gom?
Well, I did a little bit of it today in the setup. Basically, like I need to have tons and tons of efficient B team killers, right? Like I set up Bo-Katan team. The BAM team is very good for 54 bannering any separatist combination. We set up like a Dooku B1 Droideka team that's good for banners. Just you need to have really efficient B team killers so you can afford to pick apart the bigger teams, right? Because if you 54
Yeah.
banner, 54 banner, tons of teams, you can afford a loss. You can afford 2 losses on the same team because if you just place a bunch of teams that drain 2-3 banners a pop and you're getting 54, you can mess up. You kind of that's kind of the way I've always played. Just afford myself the opportunity to make a mistake, right? That's honestly why I play. You guys are much more efficient than I. Efficiency is not my strong suit. I make mistakes. I gamble too much, so I need like a little what's a cushion, if you will. So I don't know. Just I really need to focus and get 54 banner B team killers. I think bugs are an option in threes because they're a little better. I think in threes to get max banners. There's certain teams just utilizing your protection up. I think fives is a good leader in threes to kind of keep banners high. There's lots of leaders that maybe aren't so good in fives, like Kira. Kira is a good one. Just in threes, she's a good banner. She's good at recovering banners. Bandor Chewbacca is good at keeping banners up. Just things of that nature. Utilizing those characters, properly. And just I'm still going heavy defense just because. Just because that's I don't know how to play any other way really. So threes is different though. I think threes in terms of GLs, I'm never gonna place 3 GLs on defense in threes. So little tip. But I do it all the time in fives. I'm comfortable. I have counters for five-man teams. I do not have counters for GLs on threes.
Right.
They're called other GLs. So yeah. Less GLs, more B teams, I guess. A minus teams like gas, CLS, all that stuff goes on defense. I keep the GLs.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. From what I've seen, a lot of people are doing something similar, just because there's very few ways to counter, like you say, GLs in 3v3 without another GL. Ray is like one of the easiest, and maybe JML, but besides that, it's very painful. Are you doing any mod changing, you think, as you go through, expecting to change your mod focus or look for new mods, either to prepare for 5v5 or
There
for
are
the rest of
certain
the 3v3
characters.
season?
There's certain characters I mod differently. Like today, we sped up Hux. We debated on Shock T back and forth a good bit. I don't know if we're gonna speed her up. We'll see. Like Basla doesn't need to be as fast and certain. Just I switched certain characters around, but that's no different than what I've done in the past. Certain characters thrive on speed in threes that you don't necessarily need in fives, right? So every little bit counts. And like Hux, Shock T, I know Shock T is a popular one. People make really fast to put with JKL, or you could use Hermit Yoda, just like a faster Jedi to complement JKR that you might not need in fives necessarily. I'm trying to think of some other instances. Maybe you mod your. We had a big debate. Everyone seemed to agree that offense is best for Ray. Just
Yeah.
I think Scab Ray's a little more valuable in threes than she is fives, so you might want to deck her out with some offense. We're gonna need the characters like Mission. We're gonna need the characters that everyone has just geared up from the previous events. You're gonna need them now. Like Clone Sergeant is an interesting character now that everyone has been working on him for the new GL. I think he's gonna be handy. Yeah, big hitter, turn meter removal, kind of a generic character, but in terms of GP efficiency, I think he's pretty good.
Ship.
Yeah, the ship for sure. I think the people in the 3.1 to 3.8 range there, it'll be a little different placing 2 fleets, but I think you guys, at the very least, just place your Empire there. You don't know how to use them anyway. I don't know how to use the Empire ships. I don't get to test them in arena. So just if you don't know how to use something in ships, just throw it on defense. Just do what you normally do and just place your leftovers. It's not the end of the world. And you'll figure it out that way too. I think it'll be fun for that specific bracket. They'll get to use ships that they just don't ever use, right? So I think it'll be fun to learn the Holdo, to learn the Thrawn and the Tarkin fleets, to maybe use the Geos again. I think it'll be fun.
Man, if you're like
So,
3.1 and you went like early hardcore ship focus, that has to just be good delivering you auto win.
Yeah, you're gonna crush
right?
it.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You put like
Yeah,
maybe
Morgan
one
Horde up
5-star
there.
negotiator and you got like double. Nev had like some crazy setup built out on like some low 3 mil account of his. It was just like, I think it was almost double 7-star GET2 or something. It's just like, all right, man, you're just.
I can share a little bit of my experience here. So mine just reached 4 million. I have a 7-star negotiator with R8 GK. I have 6-star Malav. I'm hoarding
Dang.
some of the Get2 currency. and I still have a deck.x finalizer from the SLKR event, so
Right.
I'm in a decent shape in that situation. I don't think a lot of people will like to fight my fleets.
Well, yeah, and even in the new format changes, if you can block somebody from clearing your ship zone, that gives you so much flexibility down bottom, which suddenly has more teams required in front. Even in 3v3, it's now 5 teams in the bottom front instead of 3. So you can
That's true.
play a lot more with the like where you put your strong defense and which zones you want to give up a little bit, which is
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
considering,
also
for example. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, that was it.
Oh, okay. I'm considering putting DR8 Negotiator just because nobody's used to seeing that. I think I faced only one person so far with the Relicate. So I can just put that thing on defense, put the Rex lineup, which is difficult to beat with both Malevolence and Negotiator, and just use my Malevolence and Finalizer for some easy pickings, I think.
And Infinitum's got a silly freaking account too. I mean, you said you got 2 7-star ships, right? The meta.
No,
It's-
6-star Malev still. I can
So you're
beef it up
almost
if I
there.
want
He's
to,
close,
but
yeah.
That's
yeah.
crazy. And what is your GP right now? Like 4 mil?
It's 4 mil. I bloated it a
That's
little bit just
crazy.
for the conquest.
Yeah, yeah. That's a crazy tight account, man. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Well, it's going to be interesting too. Once you, I don't know if you've unlocked Razor Crest yet, but especially at
Not
the when you don't have a lot of the like 7-star pilots, Razor Crest even at 5 stars is quite powerful in offense with a number of cap ships. So I think a lot of what next? I don't know if it'll be this conquest. I think next conquest, the normal, not hard mode conquest players will unlock Razor Crest. I don't know exactly the math, but that's going to be a very interesting option in fleet combat as well. Yeah, Morth, what about you? What are you doing in terms of your roster development or play style or planning stuff? How are you
Well,
changing things up?
So I haven't. It's been a busy week because I got a lot going on this week. I got 2 huge projects I just finished, so I haven't had time to actually study in with the new changes. But from what I see, one of the big ones is again, I shipped harder. I've only got the 5-star meta on both, but I've got every capital, I'm super excited about ships. As for characters, like I talked about before, I'm with Gamma in this one. I'm going to stay heavy defense more than likely. I do switch up my account. You can, I ask anybody, go look at my swagad.gg. I challenge you to figure out how I play. I play versus my opponent. You cannot figure me out. The only way you can do it is plan the way I do in order to stand a chance or be way better than I am. So like I'd hate to play Fatal. I know he's a much better player than I am. I'm a better planner. So that would give me a shot to play a guy like that. But that's not going to change. And from the aspect of the way things are coming out now, it's going to make my job even harder because now I have to plan for 11 teams in 5v5 rather than 7. It's going to make it a lot more difficult, 100%. It's going to be more time. So I really need to figure out a little bit of different plan and what I offer out there to get people to see what I do currently in the new format. So I'm not even sure where I'm going right now, to be honest. It's going to be trippy. I'm looking forward to it. I accept change, but man, this is going to be rough.
Yeah, I'm very curious in this first week to see how people play. It'll be curious to see what they end up doing with their, especially from a matchmaking perspective, what they end up doing with their opponents, because I think everybody sort of assumes the matchmaking algorithm will be updated to include the new teams, but nobody really knows.
And that's where
And
the
you'll have a much,
yeah.
And there's a much more limited, well, for most of the ranges, I think Div 2 has the widest GP range, but in general, you're much less likely to be matched up with somebody way higher GP or way lower GP. Like I think many people with focused rosters end up being matched up against.
Yeah, I'm highly concerned this round of if they've done any kind of research on that and if they're going to input that into the game because whenever they do changes like this, it seems like they screw up the GP matchup in the first few GACs. So you're either heavily favored or heavily underdogged.
That's
so
true.
I'm curious to see how this falls.
Yeah, definitely.
There should be a change in top 90 or top, or like we should be getting like a actual like redefined matchmaking now, right? I didn't even think about that. I mean, we assume that it's gonna be using different stuff, but they actually might have just hold.
That's the biggest reason why I haven't done any homework on this yet because the only way we're gonna be able to figure it out is to play it because they're not announcing it. They never have announced it. So now we have to rely on Grand Arena Science or
I was
somebody
about
to
to
help
say.
us figure this out. You know?
Yeah, I know Free is in chat and he's talking about this. He has a bunch of stuff that he's working on for the updated metrics here to see what he can actually figure out. It'd be
Yeah,
fascinating to see how it.
We need a leak at CG.
Yeah.
Even Free made an amazing video on matchmaking. That was pretty nice to watch.
Yeah, that was
Yeah. All Free and the various members of the community. I just stood there and asked some questions and stuff. He did an awesome job with the project.
Getting
Kate,
all
how
of
about
that
you?
data, like, oh my god, that must be
Yeah,
awful.
it was. I don't know how much time you spent. Kate, are you asleep yet?
No, I'm
Actually, I don't think
still.
it's that.
No, it's not that time yet. I'm going
Yeah.
strong. Almost at 11 hours. I'm good. Good. But
Oh, halfway there.
yeah, almost. But for me, quite honestly, I don't know if much is gonna change for me other than obviously bringing in more teams that are more like just the lower level teams. That's just me being honest with, and that's my roster. I don't think too much is gonna change other than I'm just adding in more. I might switch up the teams for 3v3 a little bit. I was thinking of it today. I was like thinking, and I think there's a couple characters that are in my head that I'm like, I haven't used, but I think they're going to become really important for me. Um, and again, that's just where my GP range is. I'm at like 4.9, but where I'm at, there's a decent amount of relics, but obviously I'm not going to get like a GOM board where it's complete relics. I never want that. But like we already set like one or two teams that are like just these just aren't that good, but I need to fill the rest of the board. So we're gonna see more of that where I'm at. So I just gotta plan accordingly to that. But it's nothing that I'm really stressed about. Um
Do
on
you find that you oftentimes get matched up with people, or people at least in your group of 8, that are either way higher or way lower GP than you, or is it sort of the same across the board for most of the opponents?
Lately it's been higher. It was lower, but this last GAC it was higher. And it was higher and they had higher relic levels, but not as many relics as I did. Because I keep mine pretty relatively low. So I saw a lot of like like 5 relic 7s, and then like there was none after that. Um, so yeah, I saw a lot of more higher GP teams.
Yeah, those situations I think will be really interesting. Well, Fatal, I think you've gone the route of Kate's opponents there, which is like pumping up all of your, or at least I think last GAC you tried that, pump up as many characters as high relic as possible. Is that still your approach, or what's your take on it?
I made a joke that if my goal for my mods was to get my 25 plus to be higher than my 20 plus, then I guess the other side of the goal is I want my top 80 to become like more than half of my total GP at this point. I don't know. It's I'm mostly I tried to rig matchmaking, and then Free 88 made a video that was just like, nah, homie, like you don't really have much of a say on this still. Like aside from like I don't know, man, Zetas are just so. It's either Zetas or it's Relegates. That's like it, and everything else is just such a small incremental gain. At this point, it was just like whatever. Kenobi's coming soon. I kind of gave up on the bloating effort for now. Aside from like credit wise, but like relic wise, we got stuff to hoard for anyway. So I didn't really. Just for me, honestly, the prep for me for all the upcoming changes has just been like stressing about mod depth. How are you all feeling about like health primaries right now? Like it feels for me like I may have like maybe half of what I need, and I've been working on them for a while too. I would have been down like a quarter. It's just everywhere now.
You're the only one here that mods.
I was about to say like my mods.
Kidding.
No, I'm not kidding for me. I mod once and leave them. I'm that person.
For me, I've been working heavily on mods. I'm hurting in the speed category. This account, I've got 3 accounts, you guys know, and my alt account actually almost has as good mods as my main does because I just get poor rolls. So I've been putting crystals into that like crazy. It's the only one I spend money on, so that's where I'm spending my money right now. I really need to play catch up. The good news is I've got a lot of depth. I've got 325 plus 10 speed mods, but only 525 plus. So I've got that depth down the roster, which works out for the way they changed it now. But yeah, I need more mods.
7 dot, man.
Well, it's the modest.
We get
Yeah,
there.
and the mod assignment.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it'd be interesting when the next mod changes come. But I think the mod assignment bit is going to be very interesting, at least for me, as we go through the 3v3 season. I have a pretty broad roster of mods as well, but I definitely, what's the last time that I modded my Phoenix or Karth team or something like that? Like they're sitting at plus 60 speed. I mean, and I have good mods on some members of my fleet just because they're pilots, not because they actually need the mods. So that's something I still have to do, is look through and figure out where the good mods are that could really make a mediocre 3-man team have at least one good character. It's going to be interesting to pick through those. All right, well, let's. Oh, go ahead, Gum.
No, it was going to be that important. Carry on.
Okay, you got
Actually,
something?
Can I bring something up if you don't mind?
No, go
So-
for it.
Yeah.
When you're talking about how I'm planning and stuff, one of the things that I just thought of, because somebody said it in chat that reminded me, but scoring is similar to what it used to be. They barely changed the scoring per division. And then you look at the teams and you say, wow, there's 4 more teams on offense, 4 more on defense. That means more set points. That means more points for wins. It's going to be so easy to get Kyber.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
Is it? Because again,
You don't
not
get the
being able to
points for
play
the full
clear.
clear.
Yeah,
Get
you
the
don't
points
get
for
full
taking
points.
over the
Yeah.
nodes.
Yeah.
You're
So
not
now
going to get them.
Do feats become more important? Because I know for me, I don't do feats. I don't need feats to make Kyber in the old format. And I'm going to be mad as hell if I got to do feats. I ain't got time to do feats. I just want to bring that point up so people don't miss that.
So, Prime in chat is actually correct here. They did. So, in the original announcement, like a couple of weeks ago, however long, like a month ago, they did post what the scores were going to be. And then for whatever reason, in the last one, when they did like the before and after changes, they just copy pasted the before and after. So at first, it seemed like maybe they weren't going to up it at all. If you go in game, don't worry, there's not a join button. I'm pretty sure there's not a join button, so you're not going to blow yourself up or anything. If you go in game right now, you will probably not be Kyber because they have
You'll be
already
Arodium.
bumped up the score threshold. So it is going to be something. I'm only like 1,000 points off, so and I barely got feats. So yeah, I think it's still going to be pretty easy to get even with the bump up still, unfortunately.
Oh, wow. I see what you're saying. So the 44.9 and I'm sitting at 42.2. That's crazy. Wow.
Actually, no. I was gonna say this. So this scoring threshold, we're pretty sure is for the next 5v5. So that's not even gonna be the 3v3 points. That would just be the difference. In
Yeah.
5v5.
And not only that, but I'm looking at Division 1 too. So there's a different, each one should be different. It's listed the same. They're not all the same, are they?
I think they're slightly different.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're staggered down. They gotta be. There's no way.
Yeah. It's got me listed as Division 1, which I won't be. I'll be Division 4 now.
Well, you're also placing more teams in Div 1 versus any of the other divisions. So to reach Kyber in a lower division where you're not sending as many teams, not as easy.
It also shows you that Kyber portrait, but it's only like that part of the points where you actually have them that shows you there's Arodium, I think. So that's the only part that's updated-ish to the future, but not really up to date with
Yeah.
the current part where we're at.
It's just a hint of things to come, kinda.
Yeah, little taste.
Yeah. So talking about, you were saying about mods, Fatal. I think that's one of the things, talking about what assignments are going to be going, what mod assignments are going to be going around. But I'm looking a lot at which characters have which mods, and I'm actually right now like health sets, to use an example, are like the easy ones to throw on characters that I don't really care about because I had a lot of them, but they're not really good ones. So choosing again like which mods go where, it's hard to find a good 2-piece sets because now health mods are needed everywhere, sort of to fill out all the arrangements that I realize I need.
I have started using so many protection primaries now because I just don't have the 6 dots on the primaries that I need. So yeah, plenty of. I might have to bring back like the protection primary Nihilus People are gonna like. I've gotten so much crap for that before, and it's just like, man, believe me, I know. No, protection primary Padme, almost definitely gonna be running that. You better believe I don't have enough health for like. God, that list just gets so long now. There's just no way. Like protection primary GK, I'll do it right now. I'll do it live on stream. People are gonna hate me. It's just like, no, we're doing this. This is my brand of scuffed. But the depth is just so taxed now beyond belief.
Yeah, you too busy chasing all those empty 25 pluses, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Too busy chasing 25 pluses.
I'll tell you what though. Well, also it's just because I'm broke on mods I can gamble for 25 plus now. But also this extra team changes. I started to look at like 3 roll 17s of like, you know, I could use some more 20 plus maybe, probably like 4 extra teams now. And I feel like a lot of those old teams that are coming back in now are teams that the speed actually kind of matters more, right? Like they faded out of the meta, but like if you're trying to build like, I don't know, whatever, like a Night Sister team, like if you had the extra depth to like spin up a fast spirit or whatever, and you don't think they're going to be using Imp Troopers on your Night Sisters, can't really hurt, right? Like if, you know, teams like that kind of just broke off, or like, you know, fast spirit stopped mattering ages ago. But if it's a low end team and it's pulling a low end counter, suddenly like all of those old factors again like can kind of crop back in, I feel like. But yeah, I'm feeling it on depth a lot. I almost all of my mod strategy was built around 7-team 5v5 GC.
It's amazing how much is going to have to change.
Yeah. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, more mod loadouts. Yay.
I face
It's
a
gonna
lot
be
of
annoying.
yeah, for sure. I face a lot of guys who mod just their top end. They're in trouble. They're in deep doo-doo.
That was me.
You got to mod super deep.
I spent enough time remodding like my top end. I wasn't gonna go like fill mods everyone else. And I was just like, oh, all right. I guess that's just the whole game now. Like, yeah. My remods already took a dumb amount of time. I didn't need extra. I'm just never gonna. I'm gonna miss every single join now. It's impossible. There's no way.
My roster is super chunky right now. After having to upload 400k GP, everything is modded right now. I'm stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, some mods are better than no mods, that's for sure.
True.
But talking about the Padme or GK or whatever, what do you guys think, guys and girls? What do you think is going to be some of the characters that are most valuable in this expanded requirements? I'm sure, I know it depends obviously on your GP range and roster depth, but characters like Nest, which have sort of fallen out of favor in the past 6 months or so, now suddenly are way more valuable. And I think we'll see, even at high GP ranges, the OG Kylo solos happening more often now, where that was just never really thought about before. I don't know, Fatal, let's start with you. What do you think some of your characters are that you're going to play with on a solo basis, or just going to become way more valuable in your roster?
Yeah, I'm one of the weird people who never actually took OG Kylo Zeta. I just never had him until Supreme Leader Kylo requirement days, and then there was just too much stuff to keep Zetaing until then. I at least until Kenobi comes out, I don't think I can really spend any extra Zetas for now. I just kind of need to see what's going on there. I mean, you bank 6 for a Galactic Legend, and then everything else beyond that is just like what characters end up getting needed beyond him. I think Nest, like if you build out, I mean, depending on what division you're in, like for me, it's 10 teams aside. So like if you build out a list of 20 teams in Grand Arena, just like, you know, top to bottom power wise, Nest still, like the only matchup Nest can really take there is kind of still Padme, right? Teams just got pretty good at like making Nest's life like way too difficult nowadays. I mean, like you go as low as like Night Sisters. If you see a Karth, I've had some success with Nest versus Karth, even though like I know that was like an old Clash Warning matchup. But yeah, I think for me, the team that I'm probably most curious about, kind of a weird example, but I'm actually really curious to see how Bad Batch does, because we've got some teams that have just been consistently annoying for a while. The CLS team, and then the JTR counter, which usually works, but not necessarily always. depending on your mod setup as well, like Echo, even at gear 11, is pretty decently fast. And
Yeah, true.
for me, the Kenobi requirements, I mean, they hit on characters that we just like. If you've been doing stuff, you probably already have most of them in like close, if not finished shape for the most part. Like Clone Sergeant and all that, right? But like, I mean, Infinite, you've got Relegate GK, right? Like you're,
I do.
yeah, like. So for me, I just tried to sneak in like gearing up 3 Bad Batch characters for 3v3. And I'm curious to take him for a spin and see how it's going to go, because they don't do anything but just like control constantly to death. And that's like gonna be, I mean, because like it's the first new team that we've gotten in a while. I mean, Mandalorians and Remnants don't count. And so for me, that's like, I see a lot of promise there, but also it just feels like a huge question mark, and I can't wait to take him for a spin. Just see, like, I'm gonna lose matches
Since you're
with
going
him
for a
100%.
controlling team, you're going to remove Wrecker, right? And
Yeah.
just go attack
Also,
Echo, Hunter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wrecker being one of the leader characters. I grabbed some Bad Batch shards from shipments early on, so I'm like slow rolling the crystals where I can, just to get ahead a little bit, but keeping gear 11 on Echo and stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too. That's one of the things that's sort of nice about the Bad Batch, is that you can take out Wrecker and still have a quite good 3v3 team. And you don't need the high gear levels to get the control going, mostly thanks to Echo's really crazy base speed. You can get him over, I think over 300 is not too crazy difficult.
Yeah,
He's got the highest non-GL base speed in the game. He's tied with Gideon, 198.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
300 is relatively easy on him. Gear 11, gear 10, whatever, gear 4. Just, like you can get him up there, for sure.
I want to say I got like 15 average, maybe like 16 average on him, because most of my fast or mods are just 6 dot now. And he's up at like 312. Like he's doing plenty fine for himself there. It's just a question of like the rest of the team being there to actually like pick up for him. Yeah, I'm real curious. I'm definitely gonna lose some fights with him, but we'll see.
I cannot wait to watch you guys lose fights or win fights, so I can steal your strategies. Fantastic.
Actually, if you do relic the Bad Batch, you'll also have Wrecker to use in one of those Clone Sergeant Cody teams as well to add an extra tank there. Can't be too terrible.
True.
I guess.
Very true, actually.
Yeah, he does have pretty good stats for a tank, even without being in the Bad Batch. Doesn't get as much protection and stuff, but yeah, definitely not bad stats. What is your plan, Gom? What are you doing with your, or any characters you're looking forward to? You think they're going to be super important or paying attention to on your enemies rosters?
No. I don't know. I don't know. Just nothing's really. Bad Batch is really the only change. I think more so than characters, I think it's going to be how people distribute their abilities, right? Like I think things it's really important because we're all going to be facing tons of just like timeout sort of annoying teams. So I think it's going to be really important to utilize your character, like spread out your healing immunities, your buff immunities, your forms of exposed and shock, any sort of health-based damage, true damage. It's going to be really important to spread it out just so you can get through those Vandor Chewbacca's, those Barris GKs, all the annoying timeout teams that weren't an issue previously because you only had to face 1 or 2, but now you could potentially have 5 timeout teams in the back, just spreading out attackers, just utilizing the abilities and the debuffs and even buffs are going to be important. Like, where do you want to use your foresight? Like, don't use 2 forms of buff immunity on the same team. Don't use, if one character exposes, try to spread them out because you're going to need all sorts of just little clever ways to kill characters in that back zone. And I think shock's important. Stunning obviously is important. Just spread out your abilities. Echo, I'm real excited about. You guys, I mean, Fatal mentioned with the Bad Batch, I think he's the light side Gideon, right? He can go first. Like 340 is what I have him at, but I do have him at gear 13. 340. That sounds kind of fast, but if you guys have Moff getting at 340, it's achievable. And I think he can get out in front of any Queel, definitely out in front of any Grievous, any sort of team that relies on turn meter gain. He goes first and blocks it. So I think Bam, I don't know which clones I want to use, but I think clones could beat Bam relatively efficiently. You just shut him down. I mean, granted, when IG11 goes, he'll cleanse everything, but he typically goes last in these teams. So you got time to get to Bam right away. Maybe Cody, maybe maybe the rest of the Bad Batch. I'm really excited to see like Fatal, like what these characters can do individually as well. I think Ify mentioned, God, excuse me, I got a long night last night on the Gambit. Wrecker is an interesting option as well. I think they're all good. You got tech. Any translation is always fun. So it's I don't know. I think pilots, and these guys can speak better for that. I think pilots, especially at the lower GP, I think is going to be pretty important. How like gearing up your pilots and knowing how to use them in both ships and ground battles, I think will be a huge advantage. For guys like Mort. So, you know, that's all I guess.
Yeah, I think there's some other interesting characters, especially on offense, that are become more valuable. And I'm a little biased here because I really enjoy both of them myself. But Jin, for instance, on offense, with her exposes, her stun, her res against the sort of timeout characters, I used her even before the changes, but now I think even more valuable in characters like Ahsoka Fulcrum with the protection up on basic whenever she uses her basic, and some damage abilities depending on her modding, but you can easily do her just tanking and use her for the protection upside. Are going to see some, I don't know, when you're scraping the bottom of your roster, those are pretty useful options.
Oh,
I see
Jin and Princess Leia are awesome together. Like that's a good high efficiency, like high banner team. You recover the protection, and Leia can, take out somebody. So I mean, that's Jin's a good call. Yeah,
Got to revive as well, just
Yeah.
in case
yeah,
mistakes happen.
yeah.
Yeah, lots of options there. Kate, how about you? What are your any interesting characters you're looking forward to or planning on modding well?
I haven't really looked at all this yet, but a character I know I'm gonna use, and it's a character I haven't used in a while, and I'm really excited, and I think they're gonna get a lot of holds for me on defense, is Count Dooku. He's gonna come in such handy. Like if you run like a fast Dooku, you're gonna get team stun locked. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
definitely.
yeah, that's the character I'm really excited to use because, like I said earlier, we get all these characters now we haven't used in years. And I think Dooku's gonna come in clutch for me a lot.
What gear is your Dooku? Out of curiosity.
12.
Okay. Yep.
Do you
Also
have
add that
the Zeta on
tenacious
him,
Duke.
or
I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think I have the Zeta. But I gotta fix his mods because I haven't looked at him in like 2 years, really.
If you
Yeah.
make him tenacious, though, you can't even land any dazes or stun him. You can't really control him, and he just keeps counterattacking. He's a really, really annoying character to deal with if you're not bringing in a suitable team.
And even at like where I'm at, even if you have Dooku at like 10, 11, somewhere in there, he's still gonna be useful. Even if it's just one of the teams you throw on the back wall and just hope he gets a hold. He can. I've gone up against a couple Dooku's and they've stun locked me. And yeah, it's not fun.
And there's quite a few separatists usually that are laying around that you can throw in the team as well, because he's a
Oh,
nice
yeah.
generalist leader.
Well, also, you don't have, if you can't split up your Night Sisters into 2 teams, throw in Asajj. And you can make some crazy stuff happen with even just those 2.
Yeah, especially with her dispel, it's very nice.
Yeah.
I've seen even at any relic levels, putting in Dooku, Asajj, and Zombie is very frustrating. Can mess people up for sure.
It feels like
Oh, yeah.
Zombie in general has just become like a floating 2-man or 2-lady. Like her and Newt as well. That team actually gave me a little bit of grief once just because I like disrespected it a little bit too hard. And then, yeah. Like, Night Sisters are in such a weird spot, but that actually feels like one of the best places to take it because Daka can babysit 2 other Night Sisters. Like, stealing away Zombie isn't the end of the world versus like stealing Daka away from a Night Sister team is like not too sure about that one, folks. Yeah, I have a lot more respect for that team now after I disrespected it a little bit too hard.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see all the creative combinations that people put together. Yeah, Mort, how about you? Any special characters you're going to be looking at?
This is my
Ones you're looking forward to?
favorite question of the day. So you guys had already brought up some key ones, but Nest, Wappa, OG Kylo are going to become huge. Obviously, the solos, the big comebacks. So when I look at this, that's why I asked Kate about her gear on the Dooku, because I'm thinking everything that's in the depth of your roster that's not Relic. What on typical rosters is going to get used that's going to be a pain in the rump. And I think the comeback kids are going to be Finn lead. I think the first character before I even had any idea how to play this game, I zated was Phasma. I think she now has viability, although eventually I have to bring her up for Kylo. Treya, I think, who has been losing viability every day, has now become a clutch trio team. I use her as a versatile, almost like Thrawn typically, because my trio is so bad. But I think that team in general is going to make a huge comeback because a lot of people have them typically at G12 instead of bringing them to Relic. And then MVP wise, and not sure you're going to love it, and I can't believe I'm saying it. Cannot believe I'm saying it. The Ewoks are going to become a viable team again. These guys are annoying little.
Boo.
So I think they're gonna make a good comeback on these deep rosters, 10, 11, 12 team, whatever, 11 teams, and then spare M troopers. You're obviously the M troopers are amazing now, but what about your spare M troopers? You can still start a Terminator train with the right combinations. Qui-Gon Jinn, the OG Qui-Gon, I think becomes semi-viable again for a Jedi team to sleep in the back. And then the ones I think it makes OP, excuse me, Newt Gunray is already a pain in the butt. He is now already hard to kill. Now he's going to become an absolute monster. And then you start talking about Dooku and the rest of these separatists with that. L3 and Vandor are two characters. Ever since I heard this was coming out, I went straight for L3 and Vandor because nobody knows how to play the scoundrels. Hitting them in the back, people are going to look at it and go, what am I going to do? Heck, I might even put them in the front and make them overkill it because they have no idea how to use it. Be honest with you, I don't know how to use it. So I'm going to, like Gom, I'm going to set that sucker on defense and make them work for it. It worked for me last GAC. It'll work even better this one. And then basically the whole scoundrel faction, but L3 and Vandor in particular. And then I think Barisofi has now gotten a lot stronger because she is a versatile tool to go in rear teams, hiding in the back, that it's so hard to kill with. And then to Gom's point, the last one I'm going to point out is pilots. Pilots. You don't necessarily have to bring them to Relic, but you can, if you can get them to G11, G12, get all of your ships that you currently have beefed up, you're going to put up a good defense. And I heard somebody talk about Empire earlier. There's a hype train, by the way, guys. I'm just saying. There's the pilots in general are going to be so freaking important. And you throw the Empire on defense. I'm a big fan of the Empire on defense, typically about 80% of the time, because a lot of people bring home one on offense. And that's one of the ones that counters. And it's such a good team, especially if but you got to have all the Empire ships to really make it work. But yeah, I think there's a lot of new characters coming back, old characters coming back. Long-winded, sorry.
We're gonna see so many Ewoks now. I can just Ewoks and Phoenix. We're gonna see, at least in my area, and I think in Infinite and Mortaria as well. We're gonna see Ewoks and Phoenix.
I feel like that's got to be the test if CG is like keeping up with GAC enough. If Phoenix aren't getting placed somewhere, I'm gonna feel disappointed. I don't care if it's like the full like give me like the Thrawn minimum spec. I still got my like probably like level 78 era or whatever. I want to have to post that. That's my bar here. Yeah. Also, like side shoutouts. I was looking at this the other day. I think Triumvirate are actually a lot better, at least than I was giving them credit for. Like their defense matchups, like they don't actually like trade down with a whole lot. Especially if you're posting gas on defense too. That actually looks like kind of really sick. I don't have a good reason to not think that team sounds good. I guess like a Magma or whatever. That probably still works. But I'm keeping an eye on them. I might mess around with them on defense as well. I might have slept on that a little bit too hard.
Well, even in the last 5v5 season, specifically this most recent 5v5 season, I saw more Treya teams on defense than I have in the last 6 months.
Me too.
It's crazy.
I've never seen
I
a
think
Trinity team on defense.
I was looking
that's
down
what's
on it for some
nice.
reason, but I don't have a good reason for why. Yeah.
I think primarily people are realizing that, well, in 5v5 especially, it's not necessarily going to get you a hold, but it's almost impossible to win with 60 banners. Like, it's one of the best banner stripping teams that are out there. In 5v5 especially. I'm not sure as much in 3v3, but yeah, it'll be
I
interesting to
mean,
see how it.
yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, I think in 3v3, I sort of like it more for offense because you put just DN with it and like almost nothing you can't kill, except for the very high DPS teams. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Infinim, before we turn this over to Fatal for the Q&A section, anything to add about teams you're looking forward to? Any like all-stars on your short list?
Okay, I think I'm actually really curious this season for some things. I want to test out a little bit more with the First Order, and I've been working a little bit on my tenacity mods because I there's Jedi Master Lukes that are starting to pop around in my shard, and so I wanted to have my Hux a little bit more tenacious in case they're running their GMLs on my SLCare, which they absolutely do. So I've been working a little bit on those mods, and I'm trying to run 140% tenacity, Sith Trooper, tenacious Hux, see where that goes. I've always had success with the team with like base DPS, good speed, but I want to see how they do with a lot of tenacity just for controlling purposes. Very likely that they still pull a DR or a JKR, so that's still not terrible use. I'm kind of curious to see how the Separatists go. I've done a little bit of a beefing up over to GG and Magna Guard because of the requirements. I'm also really interested on how to use Wat Tambor because he's such a good versatile tool where you can use him with, say, Crew and Fox on offense to take out one of those Rex 5s Barris teams, but you can also use Wat Tambor on defense with a Newt Gunray, and that can also, you put him with some tenacity, and it's really difficult to control that team. So kind of curious on what to use with those characters there, and just play around, depends on what the opponents do, and see how it goes from there.
Yeah, actually, talking about Watt, I saw like 2 or 3 3v3 seasons ago somebody who placed Dooku, Watt, and A on a 3v3 team, and that was very unpleasant to get through. It's a very interesting character to use to choose whether offense or defense, basically.
I hate to admit it, but it's a little bit hard to use GBA as like a side tank now. It was my guilty pleasure before, but man, every team that you cannibalize now is you're just like ticking out the box of like, that's a Karth, that'll be Phoenix, that'll like Ewoks. Man, that cost actually racks up now. That's so rough.
Yeah, it's a good point. Much more difficult to break them up.
All right, I think we're ready to go to Q&A to bring this puppy home. All right, chat. Last call to getting questions in. And while we're doing this, hey, I see you all going crazy out there. I don't do thank yous during the show. You know, everyone's making great points. I don't want to be talking over them or anything. I see you all. I appreciate you all. Fort Mort, Ram Bam, Prime Force. There's almost too many names to name. Desi, Dingo Industries. Yeah, thank you all very, very much. A lot of support, and also as well, do this. This probably won't even be the last time, but if you're feeling generous tonight, we do have an event going on alongside this with Kate Gaming with the Bounty Hunties charity event. To Write Love on Her Arms is a great charity, and yeah, be great to see some support there as well. But yeah, we do have a Q&A we gotta knock out here. We'll start off with the showstopper here. Last 5 Kenobi Rex. Give me your hot takes. Should we say 4 and just say Cody is a write-off?
Cody is not one that's.
Let's say
Cody's
4
gonna
and
be
let's
one.
just say Cody is a write-off. Let's save ourselves some time here. Oh, why are we black screen?
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you heard me.
Yeah, we're good. Stream Deck had a little bit of hiccups. Yeah.
I think it's going to be the Bad Batch.
Wow.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm out. I'm out on Duke Kenobi.
I don't think it'll be a Bad Batch. I really don't. I think you have Bo-Katan in there, who's the new character, I don't really see Bad Batch being a requirement for this. But that's
The,
just
on-
me.
the only reason I think Bad Batch will be there is because, well, I think it's going to be Cody or Clone Sergeant or whatever. But it's 4 characters. It is an easy way to get money from even brand new players. They're obviously targeting newer players with like the 6-star negotiator requirement. So I think there's no chance that Kiadi Mundi is going to be required, for example. And if they make his team be like GR Galactic Republic Jedi, then no reason to force people to get those up to Relic anyway. They'll do it for the team in Arena. So what's an easy way to get people to spend? All the characters will be farmable via crystals. Anyway, I'm not saying that my theory is the most high chance of success, but seems like a monetization way for CG. That's my take.
I respect
I
it.
think it's gonna be the missing pieces of the Jedi Council that nobody has geared up.
That's
Also another, yeah, very likely to.
that would be most costly for me. I'll say I still think relegate Old Ben. I'm gonna be the traditionalist. Every GL so far has had the highest relic possible version of the old version of that character. Uh, it's gonna happen. It can't be avoided. So we'll have that. I'll say like relic 5 Grandmaster Yoda. Let's say there's gotta be some version of Anakin in there though, right? Like I wanna say almost General Skywalker.
Well, unless the other GL is Lord Vader.
It probably is too, but we've had some we've done some crossover. I don't know if they would just like double require gas at this point. A lot of people saying not old Ben. Good.
I don't think it's gonna be old Ben. I think it's gonna be other members of the Jedi Council.
I'm banking it now. I want to rack up told you so's. I don't know. I literally am just saying this because it's the same copy of the character. I heard one spicy take from Promethean. They could do old Ben plus Farm Boy Luke. There's that for you.
To be fair, Farm Boy Luke wasn't required for Master Luke, so
Yep, mine's
maybe
still
Old Ben isn't
sitting at Gear
required.
8.
Could be, could be.
Yeah. There's got to be like one dark side character in that mix, at least.
I have thought about this. I think Django would be an interesting character to have.
True.
Huh, yeah.
I didn't think about
True,
I
that.
true.
think Dooku could be another one because they fought so many times throughout the Clone Wars. Depending on what they'd like to do, they could go for Poggle, which we dislike, but if they wanted to be generous, they could go for GBA as a required relic. That'd be a really awesome, versatile character to have as a requirement, but I don't see that. Maul could be another one that's a great shot from people in chat as well. I do really
They
like the
stuck
idea
it to
of
us
Django.
with Watt. That's the way I feel about it, but I like the Django call.
I think we're gonna see Plo Koon.
Yes, more Plo. Everybody should have Relic Plo.
I'd like Plo Koon.
I wouldn't mind him. I wouldn't
I
mind
like an
Plo Koon.
excuse.
Got a little bit of clone synergy to match all these other clones we're getting. You know, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Cam anymore. I did think it was going to be Cam, but now I think Cam will be required for the next one.
Yeah.
Right? They gave us Watt for this one, which was fair. Let's be honest. 7-star Cam would have been a huge limiting factor for, how many people have 7-star Cam? Like maybe 5,000? I'm not even sure. I'm just pulling that number out of my butt. But in the entire game. So that would have been a little rough. a little rough. But next time I think we'll get him. Watt was interesting.
Padme could be a requirement as well.
Could be.
Unless they're going for Anakin, then there is no chance.
And if it's Anakin next GL too, like Anakin and Cam had an arc, right? Where they were like bouncing off of each other and like making fun of each other and stuff. Like they do have like a connection that you could like make that kind of make sense. Man, and Anakin, like if you look at the requirements though, there's so much stuff for Anakin. Like that is going to be so hard to predict until we get like at least first group.
It's the Skywalker trilogy, right?
Yeah.
So
like all the versions of
very easily-
Ahsoka, Bad Batch he had to arc with, like 501st. There's so much. Honestly, like they could make like a 25 character list, and I would probably look at each of those and be like, "Yeah, it makes sense." Fair.
Yep.
Let's see. Anyone else got any hot requirement or any hot takes? Or I think we're good to the next question.
Go ahead.
I want to get back to that. Who do you think will be? I was going to control off his work. I'm just going to wing it. It was basically on the lines of who do you think will be the most influential tank with all these coming changes and extra teams? This feels like it's been in flux for a while. Seriously, thanks. You know, I personally haven't done the Relic 8 tank yet or anything. It still sounds a little bit outlandish. Gom, I know I heard you talking earlier. You're thinking about it, man, right?
Yeah, crew, man. I'm thinking about crew.
Ooh,
I do like
yeah,
crew.
I think that's the best shot. So useful.
He's a pilot too. Of the entire, like his ship is basically the backbone of the entire finalizer fleet. So it can't. Seems kind of like a double bonus, but I'm not gonna pull the trigger. Still got a couple attackers to do and Ray, but he's on the watch list.
Yeah, crew.
Yeah, I
agree
would
with you
say
on crew 100%. I don't think there's any other like him right now, tank wise.
Fives actually has. He's not a pre-taunting tank, but because he's a pilot as well and he shares stats, it's crew and five for me that I think are very sort of closely matched.
And it does help so much with the chem missions, so he's a good relegate to do.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Man, you all are talking a bunch tonight.
I want to talk over you. I can keep going. Here we go. All right, here we go.
No. I'm saying
Okay,
chat.
chat.
Chat is just going insane.
I think we're doing quite well. I mean,
everyone's
all of
doing
us
well.
are
This has been
all of us are so used to just chatting nonstop to ourselves. Like I think everyone's being nice and polite and no interruptions, stuff like that. It's going well.
Trying not to
Sticking his
curse.
pen in his mouth to stay
Yeah,
quiet. Try not to curse, right? Yeah,
that's a
right. We're
tough
staying
one, yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
What do you think about remodding Malik and Darth Revan so Malik outruns Darth Revan in 3v3 to prevent? I know I've heard some of y'all like downtracking this. This is something I've been personally a huge fan of, but how are y'all feeling about fast Malik these days? Because actually, I could actually broaden the scope out a little bit. This 3v3 feels like this is like the first time where pretty much everyone who got on that train the moment he went farmable is gonna have like Gideon is out there now as like he's just like, you know, a common staple. You're just gonna see him a lot. Dark Trooper is definitely, you know, if you've been pushing extra refreshes on him, I think people who have been going hard on that are probably close, if not already there. Certainly by 3v3 lock, I think it could be within reach. Like it feels like some of these like teams that at least I've been taking for granted in 3v3 are suddenly under this whole new threat. And Malik, or like fast Malik Revan feels like one of them. How do y'all feel about that team setup still? Anything with that, or?
I've run it ever since you released your Vader video. You're not using Vader on my DR. That ain't gonna happen. That's it. You can beat him with anything else. He's slow. You can mirror it. That's fine. Just no Vader. You gotta use something else. Use Vader on my bugs or something. You know, I like it. I like it. A GL is gonna beat your team regardless, right? Doesn't make a difference how you bot him. But if it blocks a non-GL counter, I'm all for it. I run in fives too. It makes the Vader counter in fives a little more difficult. Not impossible, but just save speed. I don't need. And honestly, a faster DR kind of opens your team up to more counters, right? In my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's things like the bounty hunters, like BAM. There's things that can beat DR if DR is too fast, and as long as the rest of your team outspeeds Bastila, you got it. You know, so I'm a big fan of slow DR now. Slower.
I'm right there with you. Great mod saving
Actually,
and shuts off a.
I'll be very honest, I sped up my DR by a lot for this 3 season just because I'm expecting to get so much use out of him. I've actually been looking a little bit throughout .gg, and people like this is only a 7 sample size, but 100% win rate on DRBSF Malik with just DRBSF. I'm kind of interested in trying that out. So just going in with a lot of speed on DR and BSF, and I nerfed my SLK a little bit. He's a GL, he doesn't need a lot of good mods in 3v3 and what I'm expecting to see. So I'm gonna give that a go and see how that goes.
Pick up the
You
efficiency
guys
battle there. Get the Malik solo. Sorry, go ahead, Kate.
No,
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
that's
do you
good.
guys expect to be splitting up your Darth Revan team, like run a Malik solo now? Because you need
50%
If
of
to.
he's
the
on
time, I
offense,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
first week for
Malik
me.
gobbles up Padme. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to stop it. He's gonna get you Padme.
Yep.
There's just so. Yeah.
This first week for me, I'm pretty much changing almost nothing. If anything, I'm just adding more down that line, and I just want to see like how many teams are just breaking now that weren't before because of all the changes. And I kind of just want this first week to be like as rough as possible, so then like week 2 lock can come around and I like fix as much as possible. But yeah, I'm sticking with the old ways for now. I think a lot of that is probably like, if not already, it's definitely like got an expiration date that should end before this month ends. But we'll see. This is we're in interesting times, folks. Dark Trooper, let me tell you, if you have not been seeing him yet, you will see plenty of him, and he does things to you that not fun, not great.
Why you got me so big on the screen? Everybody can see up my nose and stuff. It's got to sit way back. Yeah.
Have that pen up there. We won't see nothing.
I was
Yeah.
wondering when Gom got zoomed in on.
Wait,
Yeah.
did he?
this-
I actually just zoomed him out a while ago.
yeah, just like straight up my nostrils. Just yeah. All right.
Weird.
My bad.
Well, my DR is only running 314, so I'm not slowing him down anymore.
It's, to me, it's almost like I almost in 5v5 started this weird thing where I was gonna do like 350 Malik, 315 BSF, and then just like 270 Darth Revan, and just do this weird like fast Malik for anti-bounty hunters, fast BSF for if they try to mirror, and my Bastila just goes first, and then still slow Darth Revan to counter Vader. Their modding is just all over the place right now, but it's still working decently. It's just the craziest contradiction series right now. Yeah. All right. Wait, I switched him 10 minutes ago to like zoomed in. I made him smaller. Thought.
You're good,
Weird.
man. I was just horsing around. I was just messing around.
Huh. Oh, we'll keep that in mind. All right, I'm fishing for any more questions. I think that might be it though. Okay, one last. We'll go with a softball. How do you feel about the current requirements for Jedi Master Kenobi?
I'm fine. I mean, I don't know.
I can talk about them.
Sure.
I needed to bloat 400k GP. I know where I bloated them on. It was on Jedi Master Kenobi. My Relic 5-star is looking really pretty right now.
I like everything they did except for Watt. I think Watt R7 was one of their sticks to us, and then of course Mace Windu. Yeah, Ram Bam. I said it. He has no business being relicked. Other than that, I think they did a pretty good job.
I had Mace at Gear 12 already. I think it's good for a lot of the people who've been around for a while and you have those characters. Like, if you were like me and before like you really got into the game, you geared up characters you liked. So I started gearing up Jedi. So I do have a Gear 12 Mace because I just was like, I like this character. And now that the requirements are out, it's going to benefit the people that have been around for a while. So you have the 7-star Qui-Gon. You have all these characters 7-star. You might just need to bring them up a gear. So quite honestly, for me, I'm 100% free to play. I don't have a GL. I'm working towards Jedi Master Luke right now. And if I'm looking at another GL, I'm going to go Kenobi.
Not sure in chat said that Mace is like a 2-man Ewok team. I've got mine at G12 too because, like you, when I was collecting, he had a capital ship.
Yeah.
I didn't know back then. It's terrible. Should have told me, Ram.
Ace's capital ship, when I first started playing the game, I wanted to believe so badly with that special when I was like, oh, if you get all these target locks on people, they'll do so much damage. It has no cooldown. It just completely baited me into like, I wanted to believe so badly that fleet could be cool.
Yep.
No one else thinks that with Jedi Master Kenobi coming, they're going to give us a Mace rework and a rework of the capital ship since they have ships loads of new content coming?
No,
maybe,
maybe
No.
it makes money.
Mace is due for a rework. Let's just give Ram Bam the answer he wants. Mace is due for a rework.
They did that with Vader though, and nobody was expecting it.
Vader's
It's true.
Vader was such an iconic character though. Mace isn't. Sorry.
He's not, but he needs to be better than he is now. Like, let's be real.
They should give him a Zeta and leave it at that.
CG's change for Vader. Like, Vader already had stuff that was good, and CG's change was so smart because they just let him do it more often. Like, choke into Cole was already a thing. I think what's probably going to be the biggest hurdle for Mace in this game is the dude's kit has nothing. It's like his basic is just like do damage, I think, and his special is dispel and do damage. Like he basically, like, if they're gonna do him any amount of justice, they would basically need to design a new character. And I feel like CG is just gonna keep on like looking off to the side at him, just like, we'll get to that
but
later.
he has like, what is it? The
Shatterpoint.
TB. Yeah, I was gonna say just add Shatterpoint, and then
Yeah,
realistically, that's all you
agreed.
need to do.
And then you
See,
can
I-
call
I-
assist with him and make some cool things. Yeah, that'd be fun.
I think the one thing they need to do with him and kind of bring it out of game too is if they give him a Zeta and call it bad. I think that would be amazing. I think that would be amazing.
Change his portrait to be a a rendition of Samuel L. Jackson, just like they're changing the other ones to be like Rosario Dawson and stuff. Everybody would wail on him.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Those faces are coming for us all eventually. You're just gonna wake up one day and look in the mirror, and who knows what's looking back. Yeah. All right. I think that's good for us here. Kate will release you back to your 24 hours of good
Halfway
stuff.
there.
Yep.
Halfway there.
We're pretty much exactly at the halfway line. So
Yeah.
maybe next time we'll have to try to catch you like the 21-hour mark and just
No. On our 21-hour mark is pretty much we're playing our second session of like the redemptions for Phasmophobia. I'm like, oh my god, that's gonna go so terrible.
Gonna be good. All
It'll be
right,
fun.
folks. We have the end of the show here. Struggling to find the scene. Yeah. I want to thank you all for stopping by. Let's go through one more time. And again, if you want to plug your platforms or shout out your socials, by all means, that's what we're all here for. For the people in the back, we'll go from the top this time. Fort Mort, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube. I'm starting to do that channel again. If life will let me. Fort Mort, just Fort Mort, and on Twitch, we're at Fort Mort 411. So come over and see us. Salute to you guys. Come over and see the battalion. Yeah, get a map. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on. I've always enjoyed this show.
Absolutely. It was awesome having you. I'll have to get ahead of you next time in Grand Arena or in a GA Center.
I'm sure it's yours. I'm sure it's yours. I really, beating you was an accomplishment. So I feel good about that. So I don't think it'll last though. You're too smart, man. Too smart.
I'm also too self-destruction prone. We'll see. I wouldn't hold my breath.
My last week was self-destruction as well.
Oh, you too. That was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We made some choices.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Gum, where can people find you, man?
Operation Metaverse here on Twitch, Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturday afternoons. And I stream over on YouTube with the one and only Team Money G on Thursday nights. She's been coming over to Twitch a good bit too. Got a Discord. Don't really do Twitter or TikTok or any of that children's stuff. I don't too old, I guess, for that. But thanks for having me on, guys. This is always a lot of fun. It's really cool. Getting, at the very least, you get to meet other content creators and just chit chat with you guys. It's always a really, really good time. So good job on this show too. This is it's really picking up steam. This show's been really, really awesome for what, 9th episode now.
Yep.
I've caught every single one of them. So very, very cool. Thank you.
Appreciate that as well. Infinite, man.
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here. Always like talking about GAC. Always talk about Galaxy Virus. So appreciate having me around. I usually do Twitch streams every day on my arena climbs at twitch.tv/infinitum__. So that's 2 of them because why the hell was my name taken? How could this name be taken? But on YouTube it's not. So it's just Infinitum the way it's written there.
Infinitum, tell them where you placed this GAC.
I placed 101st. I was competing for #1 Premier Kyber champion, but I lost to the guy that eventually became Premier Kyber champion. So he played super well. It was like last round, last defense. I needed 64 with OG Kylo Ren in some bounty hunters, but he had Mando. He got to the disintegrate, and it had not been a thing, I would have tied and won that round. So
I just wanted you to shout yourself out. Infinitum's a very underrated player. Very good player.
It's awesome season to watch too.
Absolutely. Go check him out, guys. And last, but certainly not least, actually we'll do it last because it's also the perfect excuse. I can hit the button again. Kate, where can people find you? Literally right after this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we have the Bounty Honeys channel, which we're doing the 24-hour stream right now. And you can also find me on my personal channel, which is K8 Gaming with an underscore. And yeah, play a lot of Swago. It's a good time.
And Twitch's
And
renaming
thank
has done us real dirty, huh?
and thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was awesome. Last but not least, I assume your mouth is getting tired from smiling all this whole time. Kin, where can people find you now?
It's more the bees coming from the flowers in my beard. I don't really do a whole bunch of content creation, but I have videos from GAC videos from everybody here at grandarenascience.com. And actually, just a couple of days ago, in the last 2 months, we've hit 500,000 views there. So awesome, awesome support. I'm really glad that everybody has been using that tool and always interested in ways to make it better, more interesting, more useful, etc. So can't wait to see the next season and put more of these guys' videos up there for people to use.
What is
That's
it with
impressive.
you
Congrats.
being in denial here, sir? Like, you make videos that I see you win them. But what more do you need to gain the title here?
Nah, that's just Grand Arena Science. I rarely feature myself. There's some guy that does videos there. I like to feature everybody else who does a lot more than me.
I'll get you with the title someday. We'll work on it. Yeah,
One of these days.
absolutely. Please check out everyone in this show and also everyone we've had in the past and just everyone. The community around us is great. But yeah, everyone on this show, especially great. For sure, check them all out. For me, I mean, you can find me exactly here where we are. YouTube.com/theplaybook as well. I do have a spreadsheet, although we're kind of trending that down because Google Sheets on mobile just sucks. It turns out we'll have more to speak on that in the future. There's a lot of good stuff going on behind the scenes. I know I've been a little bit quiet lately. Also, discord.io/theplaybook. Even if I'm not necessarily making content day to day, a ton of good conversation in there for sure. Check it out, y'all. It is, I think it's probably the best thing I've made just because the conversation is just good nonstop. Just good work to be done there. And yeah, that'll be it for me. One last reminder. We do have this going on. I mean, she just said it, but I just want to hit the button one more time. I didn't hit it on time, so I'm just getting it in one more time. We do have the charity event, twitch.tv/bunnyhoneys. I mean, it seems only fitting, right? There's only one thing
And
left to do.
thank you guys so much for advertising the charity stream.
Bounty.
Really do appreciate it.
Awesome charity. Very, very cool.
All right, folks. I'll be sending you off here shortly. We got 5 seconds to launch. Thank you all for stopping by this evening. Good luck in your Grand Arena season. Don't miss that. Don't miss those full clears. It's gonna be bumpy riding there. Good luck. Peace out.
Yes.
Cheers.